anxious to share some information that may help somebody.
Aloha, everybody.
How you doing? And welcome to the UnAlteredE experience.
Yes. My name is Sarah.
And my name is Alexander.
And
that's my wife.
And that's my man.
And this is the UnAlteredE experience.
That's right. And we are not making any claims. No claims at all. We're sharing personal essential oil experiences, but also just personal life experiences and what is working for people in their life. So we're not saying that it's 100% work for you, but what we are doing is we're providing options for possibilities.
Because if it works for her, it might work for you. It might work for me.
Totally.
It might work for you.
Yep.
So that's kind of what we're here for. We're trying to connect people and get these stories out so that more people have a larger database of information to pull from.
Absolutely.
So today we have Ginny Miller. Ginny, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, guys. Really honored to be here. Thank you for asking me to be on. I'm anxious to share some information that may help somebody.
Yes.
Awesome. So the way we do it here is we just kind of start from the beginning. We kind of want to get a background of how you grew up. So where were you born and where'd you grow up?
Oh, I was born in Oakland, California.
Oaktown. Nice.
Yeah, North Cal.
My parents were 17 when they got married.
Oh, nice.
They were living in Redding, California.
Redding.
At that time, it was very small town, and they, against their parents' wishes, they got married. I think my mom was pregnant before. So I was born to two 18-year-old teenagers, and they left Redding and moved to hip town, Oakland, and I think they lived in Berkeley for a couple of years. And eventually, both my parents went back to school to become teachers, and so we moved to San Francisco when I was little. And then to be more affordable, we lived on the outskirts of the city in Daly City.
DC.
Yeah. And at that time, there was a palm tree in front of every little kind of cookie cutter house. It was very, very safe, pleasant place to grow up.
Nice.
But when I was 8, my parents got divorced.
Oh, okay.
Can you imagine my mom being 24 with 4 little girls, and my father, I've forgiven him now because I understand where he was coming from, but he fell in love with one of his students and left the family. He didn't desert us at all. He and my stepmother were really involved with us. We saw them every weekend, but it was kind of this weird kind of split life where, mom was the one that was taking care of us during the week. We didn't see her that much because she was working and going to school. She got politically active, kind of into the protesting the war and all that. So I was the oldest of the 4 daughters, and I pretty much became the second mom in the family because my mom was out a lot, and then she started dating, and I'd be babysitting these 3 little sisters at night, and grew up pretty fast that way.
I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my parents got divorced when I was 12, and like that younger, like 8 to 12, that younger time frame, it says it affects us like the most.
Yeah.
The older you are, the easier. The younger you are, perhaps you don't understand it as much, but like right in that time frame. And so I was kind of like, out there too. I didn't have to take any. I was the youngest, so I was able to just go crazy. But
in which he did.
But
which he did.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I feel you there.
Divorce is just tough on everybody.
Yeah, that's why we're not getting divorced.
No, not ever.
Yeah.
At least we chosen today.
Yeah, today's another day. Awesome.
I'm just kidding.
Well, that's cool. So, being young parents, growing up, and then being in the Bay Area, how was your nutrition before, maybe after divorce or whatnot?
Yeah, I would say standard American. My mom kind of was trying to be healthy, what she thought was healthy at the time. And, these concepts change, At that time, we thought margarine was the healthy thing, and butter was bad. And, so it's kind of crazy happens in this nutrition world. There's always an evolution of thinking, and she did the best she could.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And my stepmother actually went pretty hardcore vegan when I was a teenager. So I got to, dabble
Experience
in
that.
that world as well. And I see pros and cons and all, there's so many different types of diets now.
Yeah.
And as a health coach, I study them all and have realized there's no one perfect diet for everybody. It's so dependent upon what's going on with that person at that time. And,
I mean, as
there are
similar
issues.
as we all
Absolutely.
are, that we walk on 2 feet, have 2 hands, 2
We're
feet,
humans.
2 eyes, 2 nose. We're also
One nose.
vastly different. What'd you say?
I said one nose.
Did I say
said
2
two
noses?
nose. Yeah.
I meant 1 nose.
Yeah.
Some, 2 nostrils. But we're so vastly different.
Yeah.
It's insane that to think
Our
that
blood
one
types
size
are
fits all.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Everything's
Yeah.
different. Yeah. We're
Yeah. So
Totally.
different.
Yeah. But in general, we didn't eat a lot of fast food. And compared to what I see with families today, we're home most of the time cooking. Sometimes it was, out of a can or a box, macaroni
Yeah.
and cheese.
Yeah.
But my mom, did the best to cook with us. So I appreciate that.
yeah,
That's great.
awesome.
Now, what about when it came to healthcare? What was your healthcare like growing up?
We had Kaiser, which was really cool. And it's a great thing. I wish I could have Kaiser now because they just have such a great system. But I don't remember going to the doctor a lot. I remember one time right before a trip having some kind of infection. Maybe it was an ear infection. And I think I was 8 and my mom took me in and they gave me probably amoxicillin and I broke out in the full body rash. And it was like, oh,
Okay.
I don't like medicine.
Yes.
We were mostly pretty healthy little girls. It's just, to me, I was born in 1962. So I grew up in the 60s, early 70s. People were outside playing, we didn't go to the doctor for every little thing. And I just see so many kids going like every 2 weeks to the doctors,
So
getting
that-
more and more medications now. It's really concerning.
That's crazy. She was born in 81. I was 71. Do you remember going to the doctor a lot?
I didn't.
So the only time I remember getting a shot. So I was in Washington. Here, we're in Washington now, but I used to live in California, and my mom's family lived in Washington, so we'd come up here every summer or every year. And I remember we were playing around this house that we called the Bernie house. I stepped on a rusty nail, so they gave me a tetanus shot.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember that. I remember smashing my face once off a bike, having to take care of that. But other than that, I don't remember really ever a motorcycle accident. That was when I was like 17 or so. But I mean, I didn't really go. It wasn't like, oh, you're sick. It was just, I don't even remember being sick. I just remember playing outside and having fun, and it's crazy.
I remember just having like chicken noodle soup and sleeping under a sheet and having saltine cracker. That's what we did when we were
Yeah.
sick.
And
Yeah.
like you said, nowadays you see kids and they're like in. It's like there's not even a question. It's like, oh, something's wrong with them. Let's go. And it's like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah. Maybe the last 20 years, things have changed. People have changed, people get really worried over the smallest things.
Well, plus you see kids actually quite possibly are sicker, are less healthy,
Yeah.
have more diabetes and more obesity and more different
Right.
allergies to different things, because look at all the preservatives, all the poisons in our foods.
Yeah, it's definitely a combination of those two.
It's
That people
crazy.
are running to the doctors, although that's changing now. I really think there's an awareness in the last few years, but for a while there, when my first baby was born in 1989, I just remember talking to other moms at support groups and, oh my God, the antibiotics and the tubes in the ears, and they're just, they were looking at their doctor like, okay, take care of this kid. I don't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
Fix him.
Yes, totally. And part of it,
Yeah.
they didn't have the tools. Like I feel like back in the day, the grandma taught the mom, so the mom knew how. And then I think there was like a shift in when women started working more, where
Right.
we were not home the same as they once were,
Exactly.
and so they're not doing the same things with their kids.
You're saying
And-
nowadays.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, plus it's not
and it's
even
not being passed down.
you just look at the
Like, it, like,
commercials.
stopped.
There's something for everything. There's 10 things for everything. Oh, do I have to actually look in a book of ancient remedies and do this and try and put some herbs together, or use this or that, or can I just give my kid a pill? And it's
Right.
like, well,
And it's
convenience
convenience
dictates so
for
much.
sure.
And people
Convenience.
say time's your most precious thing. Time's great,
Right.
but if I don't have my health, I can live sick and have all the time in the world, and I'm in hell. So
Yeah.
it's like, man, yeah, take that extra time. You would
And
think.
people, I think, have a harder time taking ownership, right? We want to be able to blame someone if it doesn't work. Like it's the doctor's fault. It's his fault. He gave me the wrong prescription, rather
right.
than trying something ourselves and then being like, oh, wait, I did that.
Yeah, and I have to say that for a long while, natural remedies were really put down
Oh, yeah.
by conventional medicine. And so, you're trying to be a good mom, and your doctor says, "Pff, essential oils, what are you talking about? That's crazy. Don't do that." And if you haven't educated yourself, you kind of just believe the doctor and think, well, I got to do what's best for my kid. The doctor says medication, I'm going to go there. And going back to mom's working, I know when I was a dental hygienist, I got paid by the day. I had no sick leave, no vacation time paid for. So if I stayed home with my child,
Didn't get
I was
paid.
out a lot of money. So the thinking was, oh, let's get them fixed as fast as possible, give them the medication. And often it just made them worse, though.
Yeah.
Totally. I know. God help.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then you look back throughout history how the big pharma grew, and then all of a sudden they're sending all these reps out to wine and dine the doctors, and the doctors are going to be like, yeah, well, I make money if I sell this. And it's kind of a horrible cycle, a catch-22, that when you're in it, it's almost like when you see like a person get stuck in the criminal system, they keep going in, keep this a circular system.
Right.
Same thing with this, like, that's your mentality. Well, the same thing here. The doctor, you believe the doctor, and he's kind of wine and dining.
Someone else.
Yeah. So,
Well, and I think it's not as much like that anymore, right? I think they've really done a better job of trying to like keep a handle on that to some extent. But the truth is, they only know what medicines to prescribe if someone comes to them and offers them an option that then they can then prescribe to their patients.
Yeah.
So their hands are really tied for the amount and then they don't have this time because people are going to the doctors for such things that they could be managing at home that they don't even know. So doctors actually don't have as much time to do the research because they're giving prescriptions for ear infections because parents don't even know there's an option where they could totally take care of that at home rather than having to clog up the doctor system. So tell us a little bit about yourself and like, what do you do? How are you using?
Hold on. So your parents were divorced.
Okay.
You lived in Daly City. What happened after that? Like, did you end up going to school? What'd you do?
Yeah. Let's see. So then when I was 12, at age 12, I'm not sure if it's still this way, but at that time, a child can decide whether they want to live with the mom or the dad legally.
Yes.
So we would see my dad and my stepmother every weekend, and that was the fun place to go. We were in the city. They'd take us to the zoo, to the park. It was like, woohoo! Stepmother gave us all kinds of sweets to, make us happy. So that life at that time looked a lot more appealing to me than being with boring mom and, taking care of my sisters and everything. So when I was 12, I told my mom I want to go live with my dad and stepmom. And it was really hard for her. We went through family counseling, and the counselor said, sorry, but, she legally can choose. So I went to go live with my dad and stepmom. And the honeymoon lasted for a couple months. Then my stepmother got pregnant. And so there was a baby coming. And suddenly I wasn't the, beautiful golden child that they showered all their attention on anymore. And things changed. And, I realized the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And so, but I lived with them in San Francisco, and I had a wonderful little stepbrother until I was 16. Then my mom moved to Pacific Grove. She got remarried, and
we got married in Pacific Grove.
Yeah, we did. We got married in Pacific Grove.
Did
on the
you?
Beach.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I decided I want to live with my mom and my sisters again for a while. So had to change schools. Right in the middle of high school, I went to PG High for 1 year, and then my mom's marriage was breaking up. This is her second husband, and things were kind of chaotic at that house. So I decided I want to go back and live with my dad and stepmom again. So I made the switch, went back to the original high school. I was in Lowell High School in San Francisco. And so it was really kind of this weird disruption of my high school years. I lost some friends and had to make new friends. In the long run, it made me more resilient. But at the time, I was kind of like, oh, this is really a bummer. And but then, let's see, after PG High, I moved back to San Francisco to go to City College. And within a few months, met my first husband. And so we lived together for 3 years. I was 18. I really actually was making the same mistake that my parents made, getting, in my opinion, married too young, or, in a serious relationship. We got married. We did wait 5 years, and then we had our first child. Then we had another little child, a little girl. And we just basically grew apart politically, spiritually, everything. And even though I had told myself I'm never ever getting divorced because it really screwed me and my sisters up, we just couldn't make it work. So we were living in PG at that time. We moved to PG. I wanted to be close to my mom, and one of my sisters was here. And got divorced, and within a year I met a new man. And here's a funny story about that. My maiden name was Miller. And then I married Unger, got divorced, took my maiden name back legally, and then I met my current husband, who is John Miller. And when we met, it was at a Girl Scout cookie meeting. He was a single dad, and he was there with his daughter. And I looked at him from across the room, and I said to my friend, "Hey, who is that guy?" I said, "That's John Miller." And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to marry him."
Yes.
I won't have to change my name again.
Perfect. And that was what
Miller squared.
perfect.
That's awesome.
Miller,
and you
Miller.
manifested it.
What
I did.
That was around
Yeah.
30ish, 27, 28, something like that. 30?
So by that time, let's see, I think it was 36.
Oh, 36. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. So we've been married now, John and I, for 15 years. And so we blended a family, his 2 daughters, my boy and girl. And it was bliss at first, and then the teenagers, they were all teenagers at the same time, because an age, and oh my God, it was challenging.
Teenagers are hard. We have 2 teenagers and 2 tweens and a toddler. And
Wow.
I just want to karate
almost
chop the teens every day.
Sometimes I'm beside myself. I'm like, don't know what to say. Don't know what to do. I guess I'm just going to go for a walk. Like, I don't even know. It's better that we just walk away from the situation right now.
It's so funny because normally I'm like
so
this,
crazy.
like, sure, let's go. Come on. I'll meet you halfway. And so when my daughter turned 18, I'm like, you know what? It's going to end up bad for both of us if I do that. No matter what. I know she can't make the conscious decision not to because she's my daughter. So she's ready too. But if I keep doing that, then there's going to be a severe problem, and it could be a lifelong problem.
Yeah.
So I have to just
really
pull
glad
back
he
and just be
gave
like,
that
all right. I have to it's almost like I care less. It's just that I care more not to engage because I know
It's just not going to do any good, right? Like, and they're learning, and their frontal cortex isn't developed all the way. You know what I'm saying? And like, we're trying to hold them to like the standard that's ours, like a normal adult, but they're like, hello,
I'm
can't
18.
even think
I'm
totally.
18.
Oh yeah, that's her.
gosh.
I'm 18, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what does that even mean? You're 18. Yeah, good job. You can go to jail if you do something terrible. Like,
you
what?
you can
Yeah, no, you guys got a really good philosophy there. And parenting just doesn't come with a handbook, and a lot of this stuff that we need to know is not modeled well in our society. So we really have to seek out guidance on how to handle and do the fine walk between, setting boundaries and yet being understanding and compassionate and remembering what it's like to be a teenager.
Oh yeah.
but it's yeah, it's
It's
a
hard.
great learning experience. You learn about yourself
Oh
too.
my gosh. Well, I feel like as a parent, you grow the most. Because if you don't choose to
Totally.
grow, then like you're just a lame parent.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
pushes you to have to be like, who's the adult here? Who's the
Yeah.
adult?
And
How old am I?
thank God for the oils, right? When
Oh
you're
my
just so
gosh.
stressed. Okay, where's my lavender? Where's my
Totally.
serenity?
I know,
So that I guess that leads
totally.
us into
Let's talk about oils. How did
how'd you
you
get
get
on that
involved in?
naturopath
Yeah.
and oils?
Yeah. So I wish I had known about them when my kids were really tiny.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I could do it again, man, I would
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of things different. But I was introduced to the oils, I believe it's been 20 years. So it was a
Okay.
chiropractor I was seeing in Pacific Grove, and she had a bunch of oils in her office. And I didn't even know what an essential oil was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Just thought they were kind of hippie perfume.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah.
And yeah, she invited my sister and I to a class, and it was, a different brand. But yeah, once I put them on, I was just resonating with that higher
Mm.
frequency. And there was something that really drew me in. I was like, okay, I need to know more. So I started going to all her classes and then going to conventions. And
Mm-hmm.
my sister actually opened an essential oil store for a while, and she
Really?
would teach classes. And we just both always felt like it was a gift from the universe that these
Mm-hmm.
oils came into our lives.
Mm-hmm.
At Thanksgiving, we'd always say, what are you, grateful for?
Mm.
Essential oils.
That is
I was
great.
starting to have health issues. And so I would always turn to all the different oils for that. And
That
yeah, they've been
is
a big part of
awesome.
my life.
Yeah, and
20,
that's 20 years. That's a long time.
yeah,
Okay, so this is lots of experience, and this means you probably tried different brands. You probably really
right.
like, you probably had, have you had any negative experience with essential oils or have they all been positive?
No, oh my God, no.
Okay,
When
that's
anybody
great.
says they've had a negative experience, I'm just like, really? Or if they say, oh, I tried them and they didn't work, I'm like, really?
I know. I'm like, I
What?
don't,
Did you
some
not give it a long enough,
try.
time, or you gave
Mm-hmm.
up too early, or you're just
Mm-hmm.
oblivious to what's going on in your body?
Mm-hmm.
But, everyone's different.
Yep.
I've just, every oil I've ever put on, in fact, I know there's a science to this, but
Mm-hmm.
for me, if I need something and there's just one oil sitting on the desk, I'm just going to grab it because I know it's going to serve me in some way.
Yes,
I can be more
absolutely.
targeted if I'm, really dealing with something serious.
Specific.
But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I just love them all.
Yeah, that's great. That's super great. So, do you use doTERRA oils or do you use a
I
different
do.
brand? Okay, you do. So, when did you and how was that shift? Yay! So, we're guys, just so for our audience says, we're open to all essential oil stories for sure. We do use doTERRA. She says she uses doTERRA, but if you used a different brand and you have great story, like message me because we want to share your story too. All essential oil stories are important and important to share. So that's how we feel about this. But was there any type of like with like I'm not for sure if I want to try doTERRA oils or how did you even turn to start using doTERRA oils?
Yeah. So after being with another
Mm-hmm.
major company for a long time and being
Mm-hmm.
on the monthly ship forever, I was resistant,
Mm-hmm.
because when I started 20 years ago, there weren't a lot of good quality
Mm-hmm.
choices.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was kind of biased to a lot of them because I had heard horror stories about
Mm-hmm.
adulteration and, just not potent and that
Yeah.
kind of. So it was a girlfriend actually that I ran into at a store. And by this time, ooh, sorry,
No, you're fine.
forgot that my phone comes up on my computer now.
Mm,
Ah, yeah, yeah.
totally fine.
Yeah, I had actually quit working as a dental hygienist because
Mm-hmm.
of my health issues.
Okay.
And I was doing self-healing. And then I ran into somebody at a store and she said, we're having an essential oil class. It's my good friend, Tula Hubbard.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, don't even talk to me about it. I've got the best.
Yes.
And she said, no worries, just come and hang out. And at this time, I was feeling a little socially isolated because I was
Mm,
really doing the self healing. I was like, okay, that could be fun.
mm-hmm.
So I went, and Carrie, I'm forgetting her name. she taught the class, and it was all the basics that I already knew about essential oils. But when they started passing around the doTERRA oils, I did feel like there was something about the scents that were lighter than what I was using, and not in like not potent, but just more appealing to my senses for some reason.
Cleaner maybe or something?
No, not even cleaner, but just prettier and more inviting. And not some of the other oils I've been using are like denser and like you can smell them a mile away, and kind of some odd hippie type smells that not everybody likes.
Yeah.
But the doTERRA, I really liked them, and I wanted to support the class, and so I ordered like the basic family physicians class kit that they
so
were
you
having
even
at that
ordered
time.
oils at
I
the
did.
class.
I did. I was like, why not?
Yeah.
And once I got the kit and I was using, I'm like, you know what? I think I like these a little better. And so I switched to the auto ship with doTERRA, and I got into doing the business. I was doing the business pretty seriously for a few years. While I was also building my, I'm a functional medicine practitioner and a health coach.
That's awesome.
So I was getting more and more trainings for that, and new healing tools that I could offer my clients and always try on myself. So I got to the point where I had to make a decision, either keep focusing time and resources on doTERRA or really go full force into my health coaching practice. And for right now, that's what I've chosen to do. But I totally use the oils every single day. They're all over my house. Start the morning with diffusing. I recommend them to my clients. I do emotional work sometimes with clients, and we'll always pull out an oil to go along with energy testing. And if somebody wants to order, I send them to Tula Hubbard. I'm like, just go to Tula. She's the expert. She'll sign you up.
Have you ever thought about just uniting the two? Like creating a coaching package where like their membership with you is included?
Yeah, and I've seen that, and that might happen at some point. I'm just now, like I said, I'm really ready to get out into the world and be visible with what I do, my story, and how I can help people. So I'm working with a marketing expert, and we're going to start putting together coaching packages, like 3-month package, 6-month package. And so having a membership for oils could definitely be part of that. Yeah, I just got to figure out the logistics.
Nice.
And everything in business takes time and effort. You got to create it. And
gosh, yeah, totally.
I'm getting there.
I totally hear you.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's super awesome.
So you went through the self-healing illness. You went through what the illness was and how you were self-healing.
No, she didn't actually share. So tell us how. Share that part.
Okay. Yeah. So this is my story. I was a dental hygienist for 25 years. So I love the patient care. There's a lot of education as a hygienist. We're all into prevention. But you also are in a really awkward physical position all day, like this. And so it's really hard on your neck and back. We have to disinfect the room and sterilize the instruments. So there's toxins that you're breathing all day long. There's emotional stress because you're on the clock. And you're working with people that come in, even though I was known as the gentle hygienist, there's people that come in, they're really nervous. They don't want to be sitting in your chair. And I'm empathic.
Yeah.
So I pick up on those kind of emotions. I've since learned to energetically shield myself, and I'll put essential oils on my shoulder that can energetically.
Do you use
which oils? Hold on. Which oils are those on your shoulders?
Yeah, TerraShield is a good one. Lavender. I'm trying to think of the name of is there like a Angelica type thing? Can't remember the name, but there's this one that's supposed to be good for shielding, and I just kind of grab it and throw it on. And I've learned also now through my mentors to just have the intention of not taking on other people's stuff. That belongs to you.
Yes.
I can be compassionate for what you're going through, but I'm not going to take that into my field anymore. But at the time, as a hygienist, I was and I would stay calm on the outside, but it would just eat me up inside that, oh, I don't want to hurt this person. I'm so sorry for that.
Totally. So
Yeah.
Melaleuca is another really good for protecting energy from other people's
Melaleuca?
energy. Yeah,
Oh,
Melaleuca is, and
I didn't know.
lemongrass helps diffuse negative energy. So like,
Wow,
yes,
cool.
so those
So I
are.
never need that.
I put it on the back of my neck every single day, and I drop a Melaleuca on the roof of my head every single day, and then right here also, all for protecting my energy from other people's.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Anyways,
so,
keep going.
So
yeah,
you had physical and emotional and
so
Yeah,
mental.
so I
stress.
did start to have, yeah, a lot of, it started out slow, a lot of aches and pains and headaches and food sensitivities, digestive issues,
Wow.
you name it. I was kind of slowly falling apart. Um, when I turned 50, it was kind of my probably hormonally, I was at a weakened state and my body just kind of crashed. Our two youngest girls had just gone off to college. So I think maybe my subconscious was like, okay, good. You raised those kids. They're gone. Now you can take care of you. And if you don't do it willingly, I'm taking you down.
Totally.
Because I was starting to hate my job. It was so, I didn't hate it. I love the staff. I love the patients, but the physical part of it and selling dentistry, because I was getting more and more holistic. And I didn't believe in fluoride anymore. Believe it or not, I did the research on that. And
Yeah.
I didn't like pushing things that sometimes it felt like the dentist was over-diagnosing. So ethically, I was starting to have a
Yeah.
conflict. And so rather than just say, I'm going to find another career, I got sick and so sick that I couldn't even get out of bed. And, I was concerned. So I started the conventional route. Now I would never do that, but I was desperate and I looked pretty good still on the outside. So it was really hard for my husband and family members to understand
Yes.
what I was feeling. So I wanted validation. So I did the route with all the ologists, the gastroenterologist, the neurologist, you name it.
Yep.
I
Yep.
even went up to Stanford. Finally, after saying, we don't know, your blood work looks good. Finally, a really incredible GI doctor reviewed everything. And he said, you know what? I think you have Crohn's disease. I was like, really? Because I didn't have the classic symptoms of it. But he saw some ulcerations. And he said, it looks like Crohn's, and here's the medication. I was so nervous about it. But I took the medication, and for a whole week, I was sicker than ever. Like, really, I thought I was dying. And I said, oh my God, I can't do this. I cannot take these medications. What am I going to do? I have one younger sister that has healed herself of potentially fatal disease. And I said, oh, well, if she can do it, I can do it too. So I decided I'm going all natural, plunged into research, looked at all the modalities, stepped up all my oils, taking them internally, especially frankincense, because it's, really good for just about anything, but it modulates or kind of supports your inflammatory responses. And I started getting better. And then as I was doing my research, I found this online training program called Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. And you work on yourself in the program, and you use functional medicine lab testing. Have you guys heard of functional medicine?
Yes, yes.
I've heard of functional medicine, but with a lab, like, explain a little bit more.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different types of functional medicine practitioners, from MDs. There are medical doctors now that are getting trained in this, naturopaths, nutritionists, health coaches. But the principle is very much just like holistic approach. You look at the person as, a whole person. Their organs, their systems are all interrelated. And if they have a symptom, you don't just mask it or suppress it. You find out what is the root cause. And I know this is how the oils work too. But if we can do some lab testing, sometimes find out, do you have food sensitivities? And food sensitivities can cause a whole gamut of stuff, not just digestive issues. Do you have leaky gut? Do you have leaky brain? Are your hormones out of whack? Are you deficient in minerals? You can find that out from hair samples. You can look at something called organic acids. Do you have parasites? Do you have fungus going on? a lot of people today are getting mold illness. And that actually later in my story turns out to be one of the things that got me sick again after I was healed. I got exposed to toxic mold. But so these tests can give us clues so that we can find out what's really going on, and then support the body, give the body what it needs in terms of, supplements, natural things,
Nutrition.
natural modalities. And then we can monitor that with the testing.
Yeah.
I also learned how to energy test. So muscle test is another term for that. So that's another way I can kind of confirm if I suspect something with somebody, or I'm trying to figure out, okay, which oil would be better for you? This Motivate or the clove? Put it down. I connect with the person's permission to their subconscious. And then I use a technique where I stick out my hand and I ask their subconscious, is it clove? No. Is it motivate? Yes.
Oh.
And so with that type of energy testing, we can find out what their body wants, because I'm connected to their subconscious. And the subconscious really knows what's best for the body.
Nice.
That is awesome.
So that's another tool that I have. And so I graduated through that program. I got a lot better. And then I just continue to want to up level my health. And so I do everything from looking at the diet, the sleep, the exercise, what type of exercise is right for that person, that particular time of their life, what's going on with their stress. I do a lot of stress management. I use a technique called heart math, which is phenomenal for getting you into a heart-brain coherence. And then we look at supplementation. And I really believe in targeted supplementation, not just, somebody at the gym told me that turmeric's good, so I'm going to take it. We really want to know what would be best, because you could take 100 supplements a day. They're all, a million things that are beneficial, but what would be best for your body right now, and in what amount?
Yep.
Sometimes we have to titrate up to the amount that's right for that person. Some people are really sensitive. We want to look at high quality supplements. A lot of them have weird ingredients that can, mess you up. And so I create very customized coaching programs for people so that they have the best chance at, being set up for success, getting better.
That is super awesome. That is super
awesome.
Something I just thought of. I love that. So first of all, we do love the doTERRA LLV. I don't know if you use it or not, but we totally do, and we love it.
So
the doTERRA, the Lifelong Vitality, their supplements.
Lifelong.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we love them. And you know what else I love is that doTERRA actually per country makes a different. They make it the supplements different per country, so that it's actually helping the people of that country, because every country eats different, right?
Yeah.
So you need different. So as you were saying, I love that you're tailoring it to people for exactly them, and then I just love that doTERRA does that per country also. I think that's great.
Yeah, that's very unusual. I don't think that's being done by, I don't know if any company's doing that with the per country.
For sure not common practice.
Yeah, for sure.
So you got yourself better, you got yourself healed, and then you mentioned some sort of toxic mold.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So a few years ago, we have a great house, but part of it is old. There's a lot of old houses in Pacific Grove. So the older part, even though we had a brand new roof, it started to leak when we had a lot of rain. And turns out something went wrong with the flashing or something. And so we got water coming through. It only lasted a few days, but then they fixed the roof. But in that amount of time, the water was able to get into the older sheetrock. And I didn't realize at the time, but it caused this bloom of mold that was invisible in the walls. And I'd actually gone to doTERRA events down in Palm Springs. And when I was down there, I was feeling really good by the fourth day. I was like, I can breathe better than ever. The dry air was really good. I got back home and I felt like I just got hit with a truck,
Jeez.
Really sick. And every time I went into that room where the leak was, the room would spin. I would feel like I was going to throw up. I was like, what's going on? I thought there was a evil
Spirit
entity
in there,
or something.
Yeah, totally.
What the hell?
Yeah.
And so a girlfriend of mine was dealing with mold illness. She found out she had mold in her home, and she said, you should check this out. I realized this is a thing. There's famous doctor now in this mold illness world, Dr. Richie Shoemaker. And he, like 20 years ago, discovered, he kind of did all these kind of unusual, not standard blood tests on his patients, and found out that a lot of them had inflammatory markers that were very similar. And all these people were being exposed to mold due to a water damaged building, whether at their place of work or their home. And he developed a whole protocol that can help people get better. The weird thing about this mold illness is that some people can detoxify the mold toxin. We call it a mycotoxin, just naturally with their body. And he estimates 75% of people can do that without much of a problem, unless it's really, really a huge amount of very, very toxic mold. But there's a quarter of us, I'm one of them, that genetically don't have the ability to bind and excrete these mold toxins from our body. And so they continue to circulate. Your mold exposure could be from when you were a child, but if you never excreted it, you're still being made sick.
Oh,
and
my
it
goodness.
also creates a whole spectrum of
Other things.
really weird symptoms that you go to the regular doctors, they can't figure out what's wrong with you. You're being told, you're just paranoid, you're crazy, have an antidepressant.
Oh my gosh.
Really, really frustrating. But this Dr. Shoemaker has been training doctors all over the world now in this. And I went to 2 of the top mold doctors. The other thing is Lyme disease is in the same category. They're called biotoxins.
Okay.
And a lot of people that have this kind of hidden chronic Lyme infection, could be from years ago, you got bit by a tick and you didn't even know it. Those people can excrete the Lyme toxins from the bacteria, just like the mold. So they tend to go together. And I got diagnosed with both Lyme and mold.
Oh my goodness.
So thank God I knew a lot already about healing.
Yeah.
So I was really, proactive at doing everything it took. And I did a lot of stuff. I did not do antibiotics. There are some even holistic doctors today that still think you should be on like IV antibiotics for Lyme disease. I'm not a doctor, but it just didn't feel right to me.
So what did you do? What was your routine? Tell us.
What didn't I do?
Okay, you did everything.
Yeah, I did everything. And I actually started to network with other people locally and on Facebook groups. There are all kinds of Facebook groups now for people with mold illness. And so we kind of all would be like, hey, did you try ozone treatments? Oh, cool. Let me do that. So I bought my own ozone generator and I would do my own. Yeah, because you can go to doctors, but it's very expensive. Always supporting myself with the oils. And there are certain oils that are not conducive to mold growing in your house. So I'd always do things like that, the Purify and Melaleuca. Yeah. And just everything. Ionic foot baths were really helpful. Believe it or not, colon hydrotherapy, lymphatic massage. One of the biggest things that helps is some type of supplement called a binder. So it binds to the mold toxins and heavy metals. A lot of us have heavy metals like lead and mercury and cadmium in our body that are another hit to the immune system. So activated charcoal from coconut is a really good one to bind. And you take it usually on an empty stomach, so it's not binding to the nutrients in your food. Bentonite clay that you add to water and drink, that's another really good binder. There's this, I think it's called fulvic acid and humic acid supplement that you can take. And then there's actual prescription binders. One of the things that Dr. Shoemaker found was an old cholesterol lowering medication called cholestyramine that doesn't get prescribed anymore for that, but turns out it can bind to things and help bring it out of the liver. And so some people have to go on something like that. Cholestyramine. Yeah. I'd rather go with natural things myself, but people that are going to these mold trained certified doctors, they often will do polystyrene.
And
Nice.
the other things that you guys can just buy those on Amazon. You can get those online, or you can
Yeah.
go to Whole Foods or wherever. Like, you can totally buy
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
And they're very reasonably
Mm-hmm.
priced. Yeah. And I muscle test myself every day with my supplements. I'm like, okay, what do I need today? Do I need this binder or that binder? And I still
Oh,
continue to bind because there are a lot of places, especially government buildings, unfortunately, public schools,
yeah.
Costco's, warehouses that have this mold. And once you've had mold illness, you're kind of sensitized to
Mm-hmm.
it. So I can kind of feel when I'm getting something going on. So I'll continue to do some binders now and then. And I energetically can release the energy of a toxin to myself as well.
That's
Oh,
great.
nice.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
super great.
Yeah.
So, do you have a daily regimen with the oils and supplements that you take? That's like a
Nutrition.
standard, a base.
I don't do any oil or supplements routinely. It's all kind of how I'm feeling, what my energy testing shows,
Got it.
what's going on. So there's a lot of variation.
Nice.
I do diffuse every morning though, and I come into I have a beautiful little home office here and I'll get the diffuser going. I really like the citruses for the morning time and
Nice.
the mints, peppermint and spearmint. So I like to mix those. I love Motivate.
Oh yeah.
So this is kind of
Me too.
quite sitting on the desk and, I'm on the computer working away and just kind of gives me that boost I need to keep going.
Nice.
Totally.
Yeah. And then frankincense I use pretty much all the time when I meditate. Meditation is a big part of what I recommend to people, or some sort of quieting the brain, getting out of your ego, monkey mind. And frankincense for me is one of the best ways to do that. I'll put it on my third eye. I can put it on my thumb and stick it
Roof of your mouth.
up on the roof of the mouth, and that diffuses right through the blood-brain barrier and gets up. And I think now there's such a strong association with the frankincense with me, with meditation and that kind of Zen state that if I just get a little whiff of it, I can just go, I'm there.
Nice.
Like I don't need 5 minutes of meditation to get there. I'm instantly there.
Nice.
That
That's
is so awesome.
Yeah,
That is so
frankincense.
awesome.
Yeah.
Frankincense is definitely one of my go-tos for sure.
Yeah. And serenity is my sleepy time. I do my wrist and my earlobes and bottom of my feet.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. And I have to take oils with me. I'm starting to travel more, going to big conferences and trainings. And so I have to have my supply with me or, I feel discombobulated. I feel naked if I don't have my oils with me.
Totally. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I totally feel the same way. And it's just so wonderful having the support at your fingertips. And so you have like a ton of awesome knowledge. And just so our audience knows, I have posted her information right below. So when you're watching this episode, if she resonates with you and you feel like she's your person, we are people connectors. We want people to find their people, and this life and journey of life is so much better when you're connected with people that you vibe with. And so her information is below. Reach out to her and get her support through her coaching.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And as we wrap up here,
Thank
absolutely. As we wrap up here, do you have anything else you want to say to the audience here?
Well, I did want to mention that I now am facilitating a women's healing circle here in Pacific Grove.
Oh, nice.
At the Center for Spiritual Awakening.
Okay, nice.
And I do it once a month, third Saturday of the month. And it's just been incredible. I mean, I just feel like women are looking for this. They want connection. We're tired of, competing with each other and not supporting each other. It's really this feeling of reawakening, this divine kind of feminine power that I think has been suppressed for many
100%.
on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a beautiful way to feel supported, unconditionally loved. And then we teach a self-healing technique at each meeting. And eventually I'm going to do those online.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
nice.
great.
That's awesome.
Make it available to the world.
And I guess my message to everyone is to be your own healer. Don't look to a guru or even a practitioner or a health coach to fix you, because your body knows what it needs. And so my job as a health coach is to help you. And I really kind of come to specialize now in helping women over 50 to discover imbalances in their bodies and their lives that, once we do that and we correct them, that will allow you to be just the most vibrant, vital, authentic person you can be. And what I'm giving you is the knowledge, the education on what's going on with your body. And then we just supply it with natural remedies that the body's been asking for and says, wow, thank you, I'm ready to heal. So the body heals itself.
Yes.
There's no real healers out there. You are the healer.
Nice.
Yes. Thank you for sharing
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
absolutely.
That's right.
And, thanks for joining us. Thanks for everybody joining us. And, time and time again, we're hearing we're not necessarily needing to search out someone to heal us, but we might search out someone to help us, to give us insight so that we can heal ourselves.
Provide
because
us with the tools.
our
and the
bodies are so
knowledge.
powerful, nature is so powerful, and our minds are so powerful, our spirits are so powerful that we have the power within us to heal. It's just a matter of
Absolutely.
It's a matter of taking the steps towards that and taking the actions. And I know that's in and of itself might be the hardest part for anybody to do, is to take action. But there's support groups for that. We offer support for that. I'm sure you offer support for that. Coming down to meditation and calming down and using oils and nutrition and really just kind of stepping back, if you will, and take a moment and realize what's really important in life. Do I need another watch, or do I need to be healthy?
Prioritize, you guys. So many times I hear, I just don't have money for that. It's too expensive. And I'm like, excuse me, like, how many times did you go to the movies this month? Like, what the heck are you talking about?
No, someone. I saw this post that said, I can't. I don't have time to work out. Right? There's too much time to work out. Oh, but I can go home and watch Netflix for 3 hours straight. Oh, you know what? I got to do this. Oh, it's too much money. Well, I just went out to dinner. Oh, some supplements that are going to help my life. It's too expensive, $100. Oh, but I just went to dinner. It cost me $200. Oh, you know what? Start a business. It's $1,000 to get this thing and the licensing. Way too much money. I can't handle that. But I spent $1,000 on the new iPhone. So it's priorities. What's really important? Are you looking for this right here, right now? Or are you looking down the road saying, 10 years down the road, I'll be better off in many different areas, and especially my health, right? So it's awesome, especially that you're focusing on people over 50. I think that's awesome, because everybody having their niche, you're going to be able to be like, okay, well, I'm in this phase of life. So I can draw off this person's knowledge. And now, my wife just turned 50. Well, she didn't, but when she turns 50, she can look to your, things like that. So I think it's pretty awesome. And I wanted to wrap up by saying we're not making any claims, but we got some wonderful information here from Ginny, and that if any of this applies to you, if you resonate with her, get a hold of her. If you have any questions, get a hold of her, get a hold of us. And it's really about learning yourself. Learning yourself. We're giving you experiences to try things with yourself, on yourself, and your family and your children and friends. So,
so you guys please, share, subscribe, spread the word.
And don't forget, when you subscribe, there's that little bell notification. Click that, so when we release a new one every Monday and Wednesday, you'll get notified. It'll come up. Yeah. So thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you for joining. Thank you so much for Ginny giving us your time. I know
Thank you, Sarah and Alexander. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Love it. I'll be following your show for sure.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day.
Have an amazing day.
Thank you.
Yes, everyone, remain unaltered.
And pay attention to yourself. Have a wonderful day. Remain unaltered. Shoot.
Later.